he was kind of maybe a little something. I don't know if it was Floyd. You were like, oh, you got a sty too. What the hell?
Alright, welcome guys to another coffee tasting live stream. The audio from earlier today was out and I had not realized it, so I apologize for that, you guys. So I'm going to kind of go briefly over what we learned today in today's coffee tasting. So today we brewed our coffee two different ways. We brewed it on a French press and a pour over. And so the reason why we brew our coffee two different ways is to explore the different flavor notes that we get from two different brewing methods. And so with this coffee tasting, we did the Komodo Dragon, which is herbal and complex. And so we're going to get a lot of those intense flavors from the dark roast. And so with the Komodo Dragon, it is an Indonesian coffee, and so we're going to get a lot of those earthy dark notes. And so with this particular coffee, Indonesia didn't get coffee until the late 1600s, when Dutch colonialism started moving to Indonesia, and they brought coffee from Yemen. So they exported beans from Yemen to Indonesia to start cultivating coffee down there. And this is very important because coffee is one of the major evolutions of the Indonesian part of the world in terms of economic advancement. There's a lot of farmers today that 80% of their economy relies on coffee exports, and so it really helped evolve that part of the world in terms of sustainability and livelihoods. And so we're going to explore a little bit about that. And so unfortunately we drank all the coffee already in today's coffee tasting when we had no audio. So I'm just going to explain the different flavor notes that we get from these coffees. So with the pour over, we really got like those really strong herbal notes, very, very bright acidic flavors, very, very intense, with a very bold lingering flavor towards the end. And then after you let your palate clear, you have those bold flavors that really latch onto your tongue, and so you're left with that bold, complex flavor on the center of your tongue. Now with the French press, we got a little bit more of those bold flavors in the very beginning sip, and the bright acidic flavors really took more of a back seat. And because of that, we had a more balanced cup of coffee on the French press. And because of that, it was very, very smoother to drink, much, much easier to drink. And then also with the French press, we didn't have those intense lingering flavors. We do have a little bit of linger on the tongue from the French press flavor, but it's not as intense as pronounced as the pour over, where you get that really strong bitter floral flavor that leaves you with a dry palate. So for me, I really like the French press because it's a very, very smooth, well balanced cup of coffee. But if you do like those bright floral bitter flavors, like a really strong like black tea, you're really gonna like the pour over because you really get those flavors that you would get from like a dark bitter tea. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about where this particular coffee came from and how it got to where it is today. So back in the 1600s is when Dutch colonialism started to colonize Indonesia, and the Dutch colonists brought Yemen coffee to Indonesia, and then that's how coffee made its way to this particular part of the world. And then that's really important because it really helped the economy of this part of the world um, in terms of exports. And so we have the evolution of economy in Indonesia that's related to coffee exports and coffee farmers and helping people in this part of the world create a sustainable lifestyle. And then it wasn't until 1997 is when Komodo Dragon actually became a coffee itself. And the reason why they created the Komodo Dragon was because of the Year of the Dragon. And so Starbucks created this dedicated blend to the Year of the Dragon in Japan, and it became so popular and so sought upon amongst people who shop at Starbucks that they actually made it available in the stores. So before, when Komodo Dragon was first invented, you could only get it through special order. You had to order it and get it via mail. And so it wasn't easy to get, and it wasn't a cheap coffee. And then because of its popularity and demand, it moved its way from being an exclusive order-only coffee to being able to get it in the store today. And the importance of that is really the booming of export coffees in Indonesia, because a lot of the farmers in that part of the world, 80 to 90% of their economy relies on coffee exports. And if you miss out on a coffee export, that's 90% of your money gone for the entire year. And so making sure that these people are exporting their coffee every year and sustainably growing and making the money that they need to live a sustainable lifestyle is very important. And the fact that us drinking the Komodo Dragon and any kind of Indonesian coffee really supports these people in that part of the world. And then with this particular cup of coffee, it's very a one-of-a-kind flavor. Me and Mark were talking about how the flavors in this cup of coffee you don't really get in any other cup of coffee. And with the pour over, some people might be looking for that particular bright roasty flavor, and that might be the flavor that you're looking for. But for me myself, I tend to look for more for like a balanced cup of coffee, so I went for the French press because it dies down more of those bright roasty herbal flavors that we got in the pour over, making it a much easier cup to drink. So I personally like to drink the French press over the pour over on a personal level. And so uh, that's pretty much how Komodo Dragon came to be, and uh, how it came to the stores today. And so with these stories, sometimes these stories start off with like not such a great beginning. You know how they start with colonialism, people going into other parts of the world and taking the land away for farm rights and stuff. But we see the evolution of this and people getting the land rights back, and really making sure that the people of the land retain their rights, and not only that, but are now sustainably growing coffee and able to create a sustainable lifestyle on their own, which is very important because we're not only just helping people here locally, but we're helping people from around the world just by buying their product. So that's the importance of drinking coffee and like learning where the coffee comes from and the history and origin of it all. If you guys have any questions about Komodo Dragon or where the coffee came from, or if you guys have any particular questions about coffee that you particularly like, go ahead and throw them down in chat. I'm more than willing to answer your guys' questions.
Let's just do that. Because it's easy. Because
So today we featured Mark's favorite coffee, which is the Komodo Dragon, herbal and complex, dark roast coffee, really good. How's it going?
Hey.
If you guys have a particular favorite cup of coffee or a particular brew that you guys really like, go ahead and throw that down in the chat. I'd really like to hear what your guys' favorite coffee is, and maybe I can feature your guys' favorite coffee in the future. Whether it be a Starbucks coffee or a coffee from another store, go ahead and throw that down in the chat. I would love to. I'd love to taste your favorite coffee and explore where it came from. And a shout out to Joey, who let me know that my audio was down during the first portion of the coffee tasting. I want to apologize to those of you guys who joined me for the coffee tasting earlier and my audio was out. This is just a rebroadcast with audio. Obviously not as good because Mark's not here, but you know, we're doing what we can to keep these live streams going. So I want to thank you guys for joining, and if you guys are new to the live stream, thank you as well, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. That really helps this channel continue doing what we're doing and to create more content. And I'm working on a Patreon page where you guys can support me over on Patreon, and then the highest tier Patreons will get some nice prints that I'm working on. And with the first set of prints, we're doing Ethiopia coffees. And so the way I'm working on it is there's going to be 3 prints of different parts of Ethiopia with different localized plants and local fauna on the prints as well. And once you have all 3 prints, you can hang them on your wall to arrange them in a specific arrangement to create the entire country of Ethiopia. So that's going to be really cool to hang on your wall and really like show off that you've explored the country of Ethiopia through the flavors of coffee. And when you have people come over, it's something to talk about. You know, like, hey, have you tasted the Bit of Farms coffee? Have you tasted coffee from this specific area of Ethiopia? And with this particular wall hanging, you can kind of tell your guests a little bit about the country of Ethiopia and a little bit about the coffee and where it came from. So keep an eye out on that, you guys. I'm always showing off previews on what it's going to look like in the future. So thanks again for joining me on today's coffee tasting. I really appreciate it. Join me this Tuesday where we're going to be trying one of the local coffee shops' coffee, and we're going to explore the flavor notes that they have to offer, and then we're going to explore where that particular coffee came from. And then next week we're going to be tasting Sumatra, one of Budeja's favorite coffees, and we're going to explore that coffee, the origin of that. So join us this Tuesday for a local coffee shop, and then on Friday we're going to be doing Sumatra. Thanks again, everyone, for joining today's coffee tasting, and sorry for earlier's audio issues. Have a great day, guys.